Pleasure, the inevitable byproduct of our civilization. A new world, its only preoccupation will be how to amuse itself. The tragedy of your times, my young friends, is that you may get exactly what you want.
All right, hello there, thrill seekers. That was a little clip from the Monkees movie Head from 1968. And I found that clip really easily, which is part of my point. I found that clip by just searching, I just put the Monkees movie Head into the search engine of YouTube, and it came out right away. The whole movie is on YouTube, which is kind of surprising. And that contrasts greatly to how I actually first came across the Monkees movie Head. I first read about it when I was in high school. This is back sometime in the early 80s, I guess, in a book called Lillian Roxon's Rock Encyclopedia, and their entry about the Monkees. And the Rock Encyclopedia, I think, came out in 1969 or 70, maybe? Probably 1970. And it contained like 2 or 3 lines at the most about Head and about how it was this fantastic movie that came out that the Monkees did. And I was like, wow, I really got to see that movie. And it was years before I could actually find the movie at all. The Cedar Lee Theater in Cleveland was playing it one night, probably a midnight showing, and I had to go drive up there to Cleveland, which was like an hour's drive from where I lived, and go see it at midnight. And I immediately came home and wrote the song I Am a Whale, which is on this YouTube channel if you want to go search it, based on what I could remember of the song that opens the theme song of the movie Head. And for a long time, I don't know, a year or more probably, I thought I had rewritten the song that opens the movie Head, until I was able to find an imported Japanese copy of the Monkees album Head, which was totally out of print in the USA and really hard to find as a Japanese import, but I finally found it. And then I found out it was a totally different song, and that I hadn't rewritten it, that I'd written my own song, and I was kind of glad because then I could use this song. But I really love that quote. The tragedy of your times, my young friends, is that you may get exactly what you want. And it reminds me of something that my mom and dad used to say to me when I would whine about things when I was a kid. They would say, people in hell want ice water. If I ever demanded something when I was a little kid that they weren't able to provide for me, either because it was too expensive, or there was just no way to get that thing, or there was no way a kid would be able to do anything with that thing, or whatever it was, I don't know what reasons, they would say people in hell want ice water. And my parents would tell me a story sometimes that one time when they told me people in hell want ice water, I replied back, I want ice water. And I think that moment was kind of an epiphany for me. It was a moment when I understood what the phrase people in hell want ice water meant. And when I said back to my parents, I want ice water, what I was really saying to them was, I understand what people in hell want ice water, what the phrase people in hell want ice water means. It means that you can't have ice water if you're in hell. But I understood that I wanted ice water. I was just expressing that I wanted the thing, and I knew I couldn't have the thing. And probably from that moment on, they never had to say people in hell want ice water to me anymore. But I think that's something that maybe, I don't know, do parents say that to kids anymore these days? I think that movie back in 1968, it was the dawning probably of an understanding of something that people were starting to understand was beginning to become a problem in the Western world. The tragedy of your times, my young friends, is that you may get exactly what you want. And that is the tragedy of our times here in the 21st century in the affluent West, in America, in Europe, in large parts of Asia, including places like Japan and South Korea and places like that, is that we are able to get exactly what we want. And because we're able to get exactly what we we want so easily, and we're able to satisfy our desires so easily, our desires just multiply. And we are because our legitimate desires are so easy to satisfy, we tend to kind of just generate more and more desire, because the desire making machine doesn't stop just because the desires that the things that we need are satiated. We're not like, I don't know, I guess there are certain animals who will stop eating when they're full and certain other animals that won't. And I don't know which ones they are, but I know that when you're keeping certain animals as pets or whatever you're keeping them as, there's certain animals that you have to be careful not to overfeed, because they'll just keep eating and eating and eating. I think dogs will do that. I've got my dog Ziggy, and then I think Ziggy will stop eating when he's full. But I think some dogs won't. Anyway, people won't stop eating just because they're full, and we know that, especially if we probably all know that, as human beings. We won't stop eating just because we're full. And we see that all around us. And whatever thing that you have whatever you fixate on as your specific desire that you like to satisfy will often show up in a very tangible way, or a visible way. So if your specific desire is food, and you like to satisfy your desires by eating, you'll get very, very fat. If you like to satisfy your desire by getting high, you'll become a drug addict. If your desire is like me, that you keep buying guitars, you'll become a guitar addict, and you'll buy too many damn guitars or too many damn books. This is the thing it is with me. And you can satisfy so many desires, but there's always some kind of desire you can't satisfy. There's always going to be something that you want but you cannot have. And it doesn't matter how rich you are, or how affluent, or what kind of society you're in. There's always going to be something that you can't have. And there's a certain kind of personality who will fixate on the desire, on the thing that they can't have, and make a kind of epic Shakespearean tragedy out of the thing that they can't have. And someone recently sent me an article from some Buddhist publication in which the person in question, the person writing the article, had made this like epic, Shakespearean, fountain of tragedy out of wanting this thing that she couldn't have. It was one of these kind of things where somebody had positioned themselves as a member of a marginalized community, and the members of this marginalized community cannot have the thing that they want, and it wasn't a desire for something that you actually need, like food, clothing, and shelter. It was the desire for the thing, and we're all supposed to join in and weep bitter tears over why this person can't have the thing that they want, and then there was all this beautiful Buddhist-y talk about the article was just very convoluted and confused, and then there were some other articles along the way in which other Buddhist teachers had opined about how tragic it was that people in this position could not get the thing that they wanted, and how we should help them get the thing that they wanted, which reminded me of something else that I'd heard from another mentor of mine, not my parents, but Nishijima Roshi, my teacher. And his phrase that really stuck in my mind was, "I don't think so." Because one of the things I see a lot of Buddhist teachers do these days in America is they will affirm whatever their students bring to them. So anything that the American students bring to the American Zen teachers, whatever this thing they bring to them, the teachers, instead of saying, "I don't think so," like Nishijima Roshi was very good at doing, they'll just affirm it. Whatever Shakespearean thing of lack they have, the thing that they want but they cannot have, then the Buddhist teacher will say, "Oh, you poor darling, that you can't have this thing. How tragic for you. Let's try to help you get that thing." As if the best thing that could possibly happen for you is to get what you want. But I'm not so sure that the best thing that can happen to a person is for that person to get what they want. For example, I just gave you an example. I wanted to have a recording of the song from the Monkees movie Head, but I couldn't get it. So I went home and by the way, I wanted to have a nice kind of recording system that I could record my own songs on, but I didn't have that either. So I went home with my little 2 cassette recorders that I used to do this whole thing. I won't try to explain it to you. You guys who understand what I'm talking about will probably instantly know what I'm talking about, and those of you who don't know what I'm talking about would just be bored if I tried to explain it to you. But I would use 2 cassette recorders to make overdubs with. And using that little improvised system and my rudimentary knowledge of how to play guitars and basses and drums. I had a drum kit with a cymbal, a snare, and a bass drum, and that's all it had. I put together a little demo of this song called "I Am a Whale," and I just, threw it together, spending a day working on it, and I had my song. And I wouldn't have produced that song except for the fact that I couldn't get what I wanted. Another example, there were no Buddhist books that were like the kind of books I really wanted to read. And so my solution for that was to write one. And that became the book Hardcore Zen, which there's probably the reason you're watching this video is probably for most of you because you read that book Hardcore Zen. The book Hardcore Zen would not have existed except for the fact that I couldn't get the book that I wanted. If there would have been a book I wanted to read about Buddhism, exactly the kind of book I wanted, then Hardcore Zen wouldn't have existed. The lack of what you want is often what makes great things happen. So wanting something is not always a bad thing, and fulfilling your desires is not always the best thing that can happen. And here's another little magic thing. You already own everything. Everything that you want in the entire universe is already yours. You already own the entire universe. There is nothing at all that you lack. But you lack everything. The fact of lacking things is what makes you what you are. What you are is as much what you possess as what you lack. So your individuality is made up of the things you have and the things you don't have. What makes you unique is those things you have and those things you don't have. So if you like who you are, then appreciate that which you don't have as much as what you do have. So don't see the things you lack as a tragedy, as something that if only you could have those things, then you would be happy. Because that is a lie. That's a lie that advertisers tell you on TV, and you just hear it all the time, that if only you could have that thing. Hey, look, here's a thing, and if only you'd had that thing, you would be happy. This is what they're telling you. You probably saw an ad like that. You probably saw 100 ads like that on other videos before you clicked on this one. Hopefully there were no ads before this video, because I format them. I don't know if that's the word. Anyway, I do the thing that's supposed to make sure that there are no ads that precede this video. But on other videos, you're going to see a lot of ads that are going, if only you had this thing, then you would be happy. That's a lie. You're not going to be happy if you get that thing. You'll have maybe a moment of happiness right after you get that thing. And here's another little trick. The moment of happiness of getting the thing happens upon getting the thing. Then once you have the thing, the moment of happiness fades away pretty quickly. So the moment of happiness only lasts for just that little short window of just that moment when you get it. Then it goes away. Then the only way to make it happen again is to get it again and again. This is why food works the way it does. You know, the moment of happiness is getting that Dorito and crunching it in your mouth, and you're like, whoa, that's the moment of happiness. And you're like, well, the only way to get that happiness again is to have another Dorito, and then have another Dorito, and then have another Dorito, and another Dorito, and another Dorito, and then soon you're a big fat pig, you know, with a bazillion Doritos in your big fat stomach, and that's what you got to show for it. That's all it is. You know, that's all it is. And this lack of things, and satisfying this lack, and Buddhist teachers who affirm things, and now they're telling you that anytime a child tells you that they want to be this or that, you're supposed to affirm the child and say, oh yes, we better make you that thing. And we're doing the same thing to Buddhist students. We're going, oh, you want to be that? Oh yes, we better make you that thing. That's not going to help. That's not going to make anybody any happier if we satisfy every desire they bring to us. Has it ever made you happier when you've satisfied this desire? Actually answer that for yourself sincerely, honestly. Has it made you happier? Has fulfilling any of your desires made you happier? I mean, it makes you happier for this instance, and it makes your level go up a little bit, but it doesn't bring lasting happiness. That's what Buddhism is about. And the problem I see with American Buddhism is it's become so stupid that people don't even see that. People, like, American Buddhism has become so corrupt and ridiculous that it seems like the bulk of American Buddhist teachers don't even get the most basic ideas of Buddhism. Like, they don't even get the most basic ideas that it isn't about just fulfilling every stupid desire that comes along. Like, if you can't get that much out of, like, basic Buddhism 101, then I don't know what the hell is wrong with you. Anyway, there you go. That was my little rant about desire and satisfying desires and people in hell wanting ice water. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to send me some money to buy ice water, you can send it to the URL you're seeing on the screen below. Satisfy my desires for a short period of time. It is hardcorezen.info/donate. That is hardcorezen.info/donate. There you will find links to my PayPal and Patreon accounts. Those are my main and usually only ways of making a living, and that is why I am happy when you send me some money, but you don't have to support me if you don't want to support me, because this is offered for free. So that's the deal there. We will see you next time. Have a good time all the time. See you later. Bye. Okay, once again, I am dog sitting for my sister-in-law's dog, Fico. He's named Fico because Fico sounds a little bit like Fido, and my sister-in-law is a real estate agent, and Fico is like the credit score or something. And then Ziggy is also here. He's on his little bed too. So there's Ziggy. So you got 2 dogs today. Alright, I'm going to go edit the video. See you later, doggies. Bye.
with you. If there's fog or if there's rain, different people might complain, but to me it's just the same when I'm with you. Going somewhere with you, doesn't matter what we do. Navigating by a star, doesn't matter where we are. Even riding in a car, I just wanna be where you are. It's the bestest place by far when I'm with you. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Going somewhere with you, doesn't matter what we do. To the park or to the zoo, anywhere is alright with you.